man. Why does it always have to be them? It could be anyone else but them. What's going on, everyone? Bass here. I'm sure we all just saw the news. Julio Jones has signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The tweet just came out by Adam Schefter just a little bit ago, and it states 7-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Julio Jones is signing a one-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, per source. The soon-to-be 45-year-old Tom Brady will now have a chance to throw to the 33-year-old Jones, because now it just seems like every single weapon wants to go play with Tom Brady at the end of their career. And annoyingly enough, Adam Schefter put out a follow-up tweet, and it stated, Julio Jones drew interest from, amongst others, the Green Bay Packers and Buccaneers, but Tampa was the most aggressive in giving its quarterback a new offensive weapon. And this has kind of always been the case with us Packers fans. Brian Gutekunst has always been in the conversation, but they've never really put out a competitive offer to a player for them to come here to Green Bay. It happened the same with Odell Beckham last year, where they basically offered him the vet minimum. He then went to the LA Rams for a little bit more money and basically ended up winning a Super Bowl. But if you have been following along with my channel, I've been on the side of not signing Julio Jones. It just annoys me to see him go to a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now likely will become a problem if he stays healthy for this Packers defense. Because the Packers play the Buccaneers in week 3. They might end up playing them in the playoffs again. It's just a scenario that I'm getting PTSD from. Ladarius Gunter lining up across from Julio Jones in the NFC Championship game. Obviously, Julio Jones is a former shell of himself, hasn't played in a full season in a few years now, and really had a down year last year with the Tennessee Titans, but it's still something to worry about. The Packers do have a lot better of a defensive backfield than they did that year, with Ladarius Gunter being their main guy against Julio Jones. I mean, Jair Alexander, Rasul Douglas, and Eric Stokes are a great trio of cornerbacks, probably one of the best, if not the best in the NFL. So in that regard, I'm not worried, but it still irks me to see Julio Jones go and sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. It just seems like this happens every single year. A big name offensive player goes to play with Tom Brady, whether that was in New England or Tampa Bay, in order to win a Super Bowl. And although I didn't think the Packers needed to sign Julio Jones, them doing so would have held him from the Buccaneers and kept him on the Packers. But he's not an all-pro anymore. He hasn't had a full season since 2018, like I said before. He could have helped Green Bay's offense, but I think they're kind of okay with the receivers they already have. They already signed a veteran wide receiver in Sammy Watkins a few months ago, and I'm in no way, shape, or form comparing Sammy Watkins to Julio Jones. The only thing they have in common is not playing full seasons, but I think the Packers are comfortable with the receivers they have. They drafted 3 in the draft, and Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Samori Toure. Now, obviously, Christian Watson starting on the PUP, so that's already a bad start for him. But Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins, the 3 veterans there, and then the 3 rookies as well, and Amari Rodgers as well. But I just think the Packers are comfortable with their current wide receiver room. Now, of course, it said they were in the conversation with Julio Jones. They may have even offered him a deal, but Brian Gutekunst has said this before. He's going to be in the conversation on every free agent, every trade, and every possibility, so that's not really a surprise to me. But now that Julio Jones is with Tampa Bay, they have a really nice trio of wide receivers. If Julio Jones stays healthy the entire year and puts up Julio Jones numbers, Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Chris Godwin, who just got cleared towards ACL January 3rd, which is absolutely absurd that he just got cleared, but that's a very, very deadly duo for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at wide receivers, and that would be a great matchup when they play the Packers week 3 for Rasul Douglas, Jair Alexander, and Eric Stokes. But overall, like I said, I wasn't on board to sign Julio Jones unless the Packers had a big injury or down the line they needed to sign a veteran wide receiver after seeing something wasn't working. In that regard, I would have been okay with it, but obviously he's off the table now. Potentially someone like Odell Beckham Jr. maybe in the middle of the season. We'll see how that whole situation goes down. But I was never on the train of signing Julio Jones. I just, at the end of the day, didn't want to see him go to a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that's exactly what happened. But hey, to be the best, you got to beat the best, so the Packers are going to have to beat the Bucs regardless of what players they have on or off the roster. But that about does it for this one. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. As always, go Pack Go.